everybody. It's the 23rd of January, and I just need to remind you that the disclaimer is down in the big box. Everything I say is for entertainment purposes only, and you know the whole routine. So please subscribe, like, share. And I noticed in the analytics that a lot of people stop listening after 4 to 5 minutes. Well, those who cut out quickly are missing out on a lot of things. You don't know what I put at the end of the videos. So, especially today, you might want to watch the entire video. If not, you're going to miss out on something really big. So, let's get started. Everybody's been scouting through that book, which is basically, instead of handing somebody medicinal sleep aid, and they just should hand him a copy of that thing. It's a snooze fest. It's just like, what the heck was he on when he was writing it? Yeah, I know California has medicinal marijuana, so he must have been doing something. He must have been, my opinion, my gut feelings, my intuition. Yeah, the guy was pretty whacked out of it when he started talking. Kind of like, when you do drunken dials when you were back in college? It's like liquid courage. So now I've seen a couple other things and some big stink because, Rachel happened to have worn Diana's favorite perfume. Well, my experience back in the 70s and 80s, Dutch used to wear Miss Dior or Durissimo. Yeah, those two. Those were like the two of the most popular scents for young women back in the 70s and 80s. She wore the Dior products, and I was wearing Coriander, which is another one. You can still get it. It's square bottle, green top that looks like jade, and that's what I was wearing. My dad gave it to me saying, here, this is what all the other girls, this is what the girl at Harrods told me is what all the young girls are wearing now. So I'm like, okay, I'll start wearing it. It's a little bit, it was a scent more for an older person, but since it was so unique, I wore it. And then I used to switch back and forth between Coriander and good old Arpege. And now I've thrown into the mix Air Blue by Guerlain. Okay, older scents, been around forever. But you know what? If they're great fragrances and they've lasted forever. So they test of time. But the other thing, I know American girls and other girls across the continents back in the 70s and 80s, where Dutch and we were wearing sophisticated perfumes. The other ones were wearing Love's Baby Soft, Heaven Scent, Charlie, and if they wanted to act classy, as someone would say, Nina Ricci's L'air de Temps, which is still bought primarily by nurses because it's considered one of the least offensive perfumes for a medical professional to wear that exudes a comfort scent but does not aggravate the patients. So, hey, any nurses out there, you might want to try grabbing a bottle of that. Usually you have to find it at one of your better department stores. Now, another thing that I've been seeing and hearing, it's like people are like, Henry going to the coronation, or he's going to be contacted by one of the media distribution sources to be a commentator. Well, something that everybody's forgetting. He's not an American citizen. He's here on a visa. And especially with the nonsense with him talking about playing chess, if that spouts off and causes a little bit more issue, State Department may be involved in they could discreetly ask him, hey, it's time for you to go home. Time for you to go back to the UK. Because they're the ones who allow people to stay here. State Department is allowing him to stay here on basically a diplomatic visa. And if he continues this nonsense, his diplomatic status may be revoked by the UK government. So he's better start watching his tail on that one. And yeah, people are going, oh, they're going to cut back on the coronation. I'm like, no. Back at Queen Elizabeth's coronation, they crammed like 8,000 people into Westminster Abbey. Now, if anyone's been there, you know they basically had people crammed in there every space possible. Well, if something had happened like the Iroquois fire, it would have been a massive catastrophe. And so to also preserve the building, because, you know, when you're having to set up lighting and all sorts of crazy things like they were doing on the renovation of Notre Dame, it was a short in one of the safety lights that triggered the fire in Paris. You want sufficient space around all the equipment needed to light the abbey for this big, once in many people's lifetimes, occasion of Charles's coronation. So, yes, it's not that they're saying it's wanting to shut it down, get it smaller. They're limiting the capacity for safety issues. They want space and be able to have clear access routes should anything, God forbid, happening. So that's what they're taking in consideration. And how they're going to have to build the basically bleachers for everybody to sit upon so everyone has a clear shot. So it's not that they're slimming down or cutting back. You will have the pageantry. It's just that they're taking in consideration more safety concerns. Like I said, if anyone has been to the Abbey, trying to cram so many people into that, it's a fire hazard. So that is why the guest list has been slashed dramatically. But those who are smart, they know that in the weeks prior, the streets are shut down because they're doing rehearsals with all the carriages and all the military. They actually hold rehearsals for the parade routes. So if people want to see it without getting squashed or having to camp out for 3 days, start looking around and find out when the rehearsals are taking place, and you can go get some really fantastic photographs. I know a friend of mine, she caught some candid photos of everybody leaving St. Paul's in July of 81. And they actually caught pictures of how the carriages were doing the routes down the mall and everything to go from the palace and Clarence House to St. Paul's back in July of 81 when they were doing the rehearsals. So, hey, there's rehearsals for the coronation too. Maybe happening in the middle of the night, but someone who, if you want to see it without getting squashed, go and check that out. Some other thing that I noticed lately, it's back in some of my earlier videos. Yeah, I did talk about Andrew. Andrew did take the fall, and now I'm kind of pleased and happy that other creators are now picking up on that and start digging up some information on their own when, hey, I've kind of known that situation since it was announced. And if that photo is real, where's the negative? That was taken, 20 years ago? Back then, digital cameras weren't a thing. People didn't have cameras on their phones. It was an old-fashioned, like Kodak, 35 millimeter or 110. So there needs to be a film negative. And I don't know about you, but I do have a couple bankers boxes filled with negatives of photos. trying to find someone to make print copies of those. It's like, I went to Walgreens and they're like, lady, what are these? And I'm like, oh shit. So now I'm in search of a actual, I may have to call on somebody who is an actual portrait photographer that still has a darkroom to recopy those so I can use them for this channel. I'll see. On world events right now, I've been saying this for a long time, that the illness that caused everybody to get stuck in their houses for a couple of years it's basically a morphed variation of what people got sick with during 68, 69, and they called that the Hong Kong something. And people forget in 68, 69, there was a big event called Woodstock. And that stomach bug was worldwide, and it was classified as a pandemic back in 68, 69. Well, the stuff that caused everybody to have to stay indoors most recently is actually morphed off of that variant, is a variant of that. So my gut instinct, remember, this is all allegedly, this is my opinion, this is my psychic ability kicking in. People who are around in 68, 69, who are older, check your school records. If you were out of, find those old report cards. If you were out of school for like 4 or 5 days during that winter period, odds are you had that. Just like chickenpox, mumps, measles. We all went through those childhood diseases. So you're probably walking around with complete immunity to this other nonsense, which I think it's sounds so great that the country of Japan isn't always been a forefront in a lot of things. And they've just now considered now it's a seasonal illness. That if you got it, you got it. Stay home, get over it, boom, go back to your life. Don't make a big deal out of it. It's a seasonal stuff like a seasonal allergy. People are miserable for a week or so, then take your medication, get back to life. Now for the goodie. Okay. If we can get I'm hoping that soon I'll be able to get 250 subscribers. Once I do that, then I will be announcing when I will go live. And everybody will have a chance to bop into the room and ask a few questions. So if you want a free reading, start subscribing. As soon as I can get that number to 250. I hate bribery, but let's make it happen. And just like other people, some people go on and they have to type in their question. No, I'll let you come into the room, and I may have, depending on the people watching, I may have to limit it to how many questions in a time frame, but I'll try to get through as many people as possible. So let's get me up to at least 250 subscribers, and I'll schedule the date. I have talked to a couple other people, a couple other women who are gifted like I am, and they've also agreed to come on and do a chatterbox where we start talking about some things going on in the world, and we'll be bouncing stuff back and forth. So that'll be hopefully everyone will get their schedules, their calendars coordinated. So that's our big holdup. As for the gruesome twosome again, she's in hiding. I'm thinking, has anybody checked the, I keep getting like the word chateau. And so I think she's hiding out at a bungalow where it's famous for John Belushi. If anyone can scout that little area, I mean, it's filled with all sorts of shopping areas and restaurants, trendy restaurants. I think she's trying to get out there and be seen within the glitterati. But when people find out who made the reservation, oops, you're going to have to go wait at the bar for at least 45 minutes, which then she leaves. I know that she tried that nonsense. They tried nonsense in one town where there was a reservation made under a certain name. And when they came in, it was some people that were being followed with a camera crew. Well, because they didn't have the necessary riders releases for the people who were in the restaurant already, and they thought they could just do guerrilla filmmaking without permits or so forth, the restaurant owner said, bye-bye. And in that area, phones are basically, the news went out that they were trying to do a guerrilla piece, went out like in a New York minute, and then they ended up having to toss that deli guy a chunk of change to be able to be in there. So, unless you stayed to the end, you didn't hear this. Remember, everything I have on my videos is for entertainment purposes. Psychic impressions, I hear gossip from different people. So I hope everybody is going to have a wonderful Monday, and see you Wednesday. Bye.